Yeah, very good evening to another person here. Yeah, myself, my Dr. CN, Professor IT, Nanda College of Technology. Today, we discuss what is data structures, what is AT, what are the types of data structures. Okay, first of all, what is data structures? Data structure is a particular way of storing and organizing data in a computer so that it can be used effectively. Different kinds of data structures are suited to different kinds of applications also. Storing and retrieving can be carried out on data stored in both main memory and as well as in secondary memory also. In finally, data is a particular way of storing and organizing data in a computer so that it can be used or retrieved is a easy, efficiently used manner. Okay. What are the algorithms? An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for calculations. Is a step-by-step procedure to find the solution for the given problem. An algorithm is an effective method expressed as a finite list of well-defined instructions for calculating a functions. Okay. An algorithm is an effective method expresses a finite list of well-defined instructions for calculating a function. The transition from one stage to the next is not necessarily deterministic, but some algorithms incorporate random input also. Next is what is a data structure classification? How can you classify the data structures? There are basically primitive data structures and non-primitive data structures. These are primitive, nothing is it's a basic data structures, but non-primitive terms are derived from the primitive data structures. Okay. Next is the homogeneous and heterogeneous data structures. Elements are the same type or different types. Okay. Whether the particular elements are the same type of homogeneous, otherwise, heterogeneous data types. Next one is a static or dynamic. Memory is allocated at the time of comparison, that is called as a static. And, and memory is allocated for during runtime means that is called as a dynamic allocations. Next one is a linear, non-linear data systems. That is, it is a relationship between the either linear, hierarchical relation between these elements. That is called as a linear data systems or non-linear data structures. Next one is the next ADT. That is an abstract data type. In generally, problem solving with the computer means a processing data. Whether the process data, we need to define the data type. What are data types used in the program or problems and the operations? What type of data type and the operations to be performed on the data. Okay, generally, process data means we need to define the data type and the operations to be performed on the data. Next, finally, the definition of the data type and the definition of the operations to be applied to the data is part of the idea again an abstract data type. Okay, the definition it is the definition of the data type and the definition of the operations to be applied to the data is part of the idea behind an abstract data type. In generally, the users of an ADT needs only to know that a set of operations are available for the data type, but does not need to know how they can be applied. Okay. In generally, the ADT means it needs to only to know that set of operations are available for the data type, but does not need to know how they are implemented. Okay. In general, several simple edits are available, such as an integer, real, character, pointer, and so on. Can be implemented and are available for using most languages. Next, what are data types? Yeah, data type is characterized by a set of values. First one is a set of values, a data representative, which is common to all these values, and set of operations, which can be applied uniformly to all these values. Next, question is that what are the primitive data types? Okay, it can be generally it's a Boolean, character, byte, integer, float values. Okay, each primitive data type has a set of values, a data representation, and set of operations. Okay, in generally, primitive data types are either Boolean, character, byte, integer, float, and double. But each primitive data type has each primitive type has a set of values, a data representation, a set of operations. So in generally, in terms of simple words in ADT, it is a set of operations, mathematical abstraction, no implementation details. What is mean? That is called as an ADT is a set of operations. It is a mathematical abstraction, but no implementation details. That is called as an ADT. In generally, what are the types of ADTs? That is a list, sets, graph, stacks are examples of ADT along with their operations. First is the list ADT. The list is an ordered sequence of data items are called elements. Okay, that is called as a linear data structures. It is an ordered sequence of data items are called elements. That is A1, A2, A3, and A1 is a list of size n. Size of an empty list is 0. AI plus 1 succeeds AI. AI minus 1 precedes AI. Portion of A is an I, that is the index. First element of A1 called as an head, last element of AN is called as an tail. This is some basic representation of the list. It is an ordered sequence of data items called elements. What are the operations on list? First is a make empty. The list is totally empty. Then print is what are the elements available in the list. Then what are the which elements you have to find? That is a find operations. Find which position you have to find, either 0 to until last element. Okay, you have to find the what are the position of the elements. Next, how can you insert the elements in the list? Then what are the next element in the list? Then how can you delete the operations? How can the element removed from the list? Then you have to find the next element or previous elements. Okay, these are the operations performed on the list operations. Next, how can you implement the list? First, a list can be implemented using either arrays, linked list, cursor-based linked list. There is a cursor, nothing but a linked list using arrays. First one is arrays. This array is a static data structures. Array is a static data structure that represents a collection of fixed number of homogeneous data items or a fixed indexed sequence of elements all of the same type. Okay, generally array is a static data structures that represents a collection of fixed number of homogeneous data items. Fixed number of homogeneous data items or fixed size indexed sequence of elements are of the same type. Okay, the individual elements are typically stored in consecutive memory allocations. The length of the array is determined when the array is created and cannot be changed. Once the length is defined, that cannot be changed. What are different types of arrays? One-dimensional array, then multi-dimensional array, static array, dynamic array. There is a one-dimensional array, so only one index is used. Multi-dimensional array involving more than one index. Static, it is the compiler determines how memory will be allocated for the array. That is during static time. Then dynamic is memory allocation takes place during execution time. That is during allocate memory is execution time. Okay, these are the basics of the data structures. Next, we go for the next in the next class. Thank you.